On the Fringe with Dan radio style. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. The Dems are screwed. They just are. They're absolutely, at least all the ones that have been pushing for this Venezuela or this El Salvadorian individual. We've got a crap ton there where they are just screwed. Also got some interesting 9/11 information that's come out. Stuff that I didn't think is necessarily new per se, but for any of you guys that are kind of waking up to what's going on with the 9/11 stuff, I think that's a big thing that happened to us in the past and certainly brought about the Patriot Act. One of the key reasons I think it happened. Many say it's to hide the 2 trillion dollars that Rumsfeld was talking about. That's part of it. The insurance, the fact they switched over the insurance on the buildings, the fact that they just imploded on themselves, the fact that the firemen said pull it, the fact that there was thermite residue found all over the place. Just a few things that have popped up around that. So we've got a lot to talk about. Got some video to do, so I'm going to try to get to moving, if you will. A couple weird things started off well, we're going to start off with, because I think it's so freaking crazy. This, I think, is a major story. I don't have anything more to add to other than I'll just share the story. But I understand this to be huge. And I don't quite understand the ramifications of this, but the fact that this has happened is interesting. Zhang Deyong, probably saying that wrong, I'm sure, is 53-year-old, also known as Asheng. He was found dead on Monday alongside his partner Gong Zhangqing, whatever. He was 38, apparently outside their home in eastern Robin neighborhood of Pigneto. Investigators say the dead man worked for Naishang Zhang, who is on trial in Florence following an investigation into accusations he coordinated illegal operations across Italy, France, Germany, and Spain. Zhang has garnered a near monopoly in distribution of goods across much of Europe through threats and violence against Chinese company owners, anti-mafia prosecutors have said. A police official said the killings may be linked to the so-called coat hanger wars. It's a violent struggle between Chinese criminal factions originally centered in the northern city of Prato, close to Florence, for the lucrative fashion logistics market. According to prosecutors, De Jong was involved in managing underground gambling, loan sharking, and enforcement operations in the capital. They expect, or suspect anyways, that this guy's been working with the Chinese criminal networks. Seems to be a rather significant individual, also involved in, or probably knew too much, involved in some of what was going on in with that trial, whatever it is, right? Also strange, at Florida State University, shooter. A bunch of people actually have been shot. I think this is potentially one of the victims. Hard to say what exactly this is. They think they arrested one individual after everything's been said and done. Supposedly there was only one shooter. This seems to potentially be a victim. I don't know if that's actually the shooter or not. No one really knows, frankly. It's got a red shirt. And let's see, we got this guy here. Many think this is possibly the shooter because of what's happening and how he's being handled. That's not what you would do to a victim. And I don't see a red shirt. Though, maybe she's got him cuffed already or something. Yeah, whatever the case was, many think that's possibly the guy. But the bad news of this, 5 dead, 4 injured, this active shooter is over with at this point. They were saying there was 2 shooters initially. We've actually come to find out there's fewer than that. There's only 1. I guess I'll give the update here. We'll let them have it.
Give us the update per your source, who's currently holding a building on the scene there.
Again, this is just one source of information. They have said that there is 1 person in custody. They were seen in handcuffs with their face down, and they were shot by law enforcement. Their understanding is that there are 2 deceased and 3 injured. Again, not confirmed, but just their understanding.
And that does not include a shooter or shooters?
Does not include the shooter. Those are victims. Shooter allegedly went into the student union with a shotgun. They went through the rounds of the shotgun, then they switched to a handgun. When the individual was taken into custody after being shot at, they believe by law enforcement, the handgun was on his person. Again, that shooter was taken into custody, seen face down on the ground in custody. Law enforcement at this point has cleared multiple rooms. Almost every building and every room that they intend to clear, from my understanding, has been cleared. They are moving into the investigative phase, but that is always a very fluid situation. It can go from one situation to another, but that's their understanding. Tallahassee PD, I understand, is going to be the lead law enforcement agency for this investigation and may potentially be having a press conference at 4:00 p.m.
So just to recap what you've been told by your source, who's on scene and has basically firsthand knowledge because he's seen the scene, 2 deceased, 3 injured. Those are the victims. There is 1 shooter down in custody, shot by police and being taken to the hospital. Went into the student union with a shotgun, started firing with that, then switched to a handgun, and then at some point was engaged by police and is believed to have been shot and is now in custody. We had been hearing, reports earlier about a potential second shooter, but this source of yours is not hearing that, correct?
That is correct. And Bill, we always want to preface it in law enforcement until it is a completed investigation and until it is officially coming from an official law enforcement individual at an official press conference. This is just information that we have at this point.
And it sounds like we might have to wait a significant more amount of time for that potential press conference. If you're hearing it might be at 4.
I was hoping she would say official one more time. I thought 3 officials within a super short period of time was sufficient. Also, strange thing happened, and I'm glad what happened to him happened. 3 passengers were injured after a U.S. citizen, very important part of the story for some reason that ABC's put out, and they might very well be, though I find it interesting. One, this U.S. citizen was trying to hijack a small plane. Okay, that's weird for U.S. citizens. Not common for us to run around hijacking planes, but we've stolen planes within our own country and crashed them into stuff, so possible. It was done at knife point in Belize, of all places, and the individual's name, who is a U.S. citizen, is Akinyela Sawa Taylor. Last name's interesting. A U.S. citizen hijacked a plane, 13 other passengers aboard. He was shot and killed. Yeah, that's what happens when you try to steal airplanes. Trying to get fuel, trying to get them to take them some other place. Yeah, it's craziness what's going on. Active shooter, open fire. Yeah, this was supposed to actually be this story here. Let's just pretend I did it right. Yeah, I did it right all along. Yeah, this is this story. Yeah, Chinese underground network. All right, this story I'm going to go ahead and cover. I wasn't gonna, but it's pretty good. It's Biden being a retard, and I like this lady a lot, and she's basically calling him out for being a retard, so it's like hard not to play it.
Lecture an audience about President Trump and Social Security.
Fewer than 100 days, this new administration has done so much damage and so much destruction. It's kind of breathtaking it could happen that soon. They've taken a hatchet to the Social Security Administration.
Says the man who destroyed our sovereignty at the border to the south in a matter of very little time. The Social Security Administration clapped back at Joe. With former President Joe, Biden is lying to Americans. And the agency also shared a post. President Trump has repeatedly promised to protect Social Security and ensure higher take-home pay for seniors by extending taxation on security benefits. President Biden spoke for about 30 minutes instead of the 1 hour that he was booked for, that he was scheduled to speak. And it came with some offensive words, weird whispers, and a touch of hypocrisy.
I'd never seen hardly any black people in Scranton at the time I was only going in the 4th grade. And I remember seeing the kids going by at the time called colored kids on a bus going by. No one should take it away. It makes family stronger. It gives peace of mind. And you got to ask yourself, why is this happening? It's about dignity. Simple dignity. Everyone deserves to be treated with dignity, regardless of their standing, regardless of economic situation, regardless of who they are.
So does he want to start calling us colored people again? Oh my gosh, what a mess. This headline, a reference to that last comment you just heard. Biden lectures us to treat one another with dignity months after he labeled Trump voters as garbage. Well, here he is last October.
Donald Trump has no character. He doesn't give a damn about the Latino community. A speaker at his rally called Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage. Well, let me tell you something. I don't know the Puerto Rican that I know, or Puerto Rico where I'm in my home state of Delaware. They're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
And unfortunately for him, that was the only part of the entire sentence that you could understand, and it was clear. Power panel now. Daniel Cameron, former Kentucky Attorney General, and Al Motter, former member of the...
Pretty much what he said, I think. It's a direct quote. Joe Biden did so horribly. And one, it was just weird because I don't know about you guys, but I hadn't seen him speak in so long, so I just ignore everything he says because I don't care. I still kind of don't, but I was like, this is somewhat germane. That's why it's in the maybe column. But seeing him like yell for no reason, whisper for no reason, the dude is a nut job. Nut job. Senator Bernie Sanders being called out in his craziness. Yeah, he's crisscrossed the country the first quarter of 2025 and trying to fight the oligarchy. That's his whole thing, the Fighting the Oligarchy Tour. Trying to raise money to help all these crazy progressives make a difference in this world. Well, the thing it's kind of getting called out on is he's spent $221,000 chartering private jets during the first quarter of 2025. Seems to care so much about fighting oligarchies, yet at the same time, he kind of seems to be an oligarch. Just saying, coincidence maybe. Trump administration is installing 17 miles of buoys in the river at the U.S.-Mexico border. This is pretty cool, right? So that that whole thing that Texas kept rolling them out, and then the Biden administration said you had to get rid of those. That whole bit of nonsense because they were trying to protect their own border, and Biden didn't want that, obviously. Finally, the federal government's actually putting in 17 miles of buoy wall, and that's pretty cool because that's going to, one, keep people from walking across the river. Because you can't really put a wall there, per se. So, yeah, this is going to be big times. Good stuff. Good helping. Donald Trump truthed this out, and it's kind of in the economic realm, if you will. They said they had a very productive call with the president of Mexico yesterday. Likewise, I met with the highest-level Japanese trade representatives. It was a very productive meeting. Every nation, including China, wants to meet today. Italy. So he is meeting with all the people out there. Now, U.S. and China, they're kind of holding slightly different playbooks, it would seem, over the trade negotiations that are going on. Beijing indicated it was open to talks with Washington, but requires us to show them respect. Now, I don't necessarily think we've been disrespectful. I get we're not playing the game the way they want us to because China wants to be in charge. Or at least feel like they're in charge, or at least be able to look like they're in charge, because that's how the Communist Party has to be. It cannot look bad in the eyes of the average Chinese. Now, they're able to hide a lot of information, but not all of it. So stuff does leak in. But oddly, that famous picture of the dude standing in front of the tank at Tiananmen Square, try finding that picture in China. You will not. Anywhere. That story doesn't even exist for the most part. Very few people know about it, and the people that do are the ones that were living kind of close to the area, and they don't really talk about it from what I understand. So, crazy stuff. The European Central Bank is expected to cut interest rates for the 7th time. This is Trump talking here. And yet, too late, Jerome Powell of the Fed, who was always too late and wrong, yesterday issued a report which was another and typical complete mess. Oil prices are down. Groceries, even eggs, are down. And the USA is getting rich on tariffs. Too late, should have lowered interest rates like the ECB long ago. But he should certainly lower them now. Powell's termination cannot come fast enough. They can't wait to get rid of this guy. Powell is deep state. Powell wants Trump to look bad. Powell is likely going to play a very, very large role in why the dollar's not probably going to survive, but it's not supposed to, right? So this is part of the movie. Trump's got to look like he's trying to save it, even though they're blaming him for the stock market thing. He's got to look like it. He kind of needs to find somebody to blame. Personally, the Fed is a great place to start pointing the finger, so I love the fact that he's going after Jerome Powell. Fantastic. I'll help that all day long. But this is kind of what's building. They don't want things to open up. They don't want Trump to look good. So they almost can't let him be successful because then he'd just take the dollar, we'd pay off the debt, we could keep the system going. I don't think that's supposed to happen. Like I've said, I think the Fed's supposed to get kicked out, shut down. And I think Jerome Powell ultimately is going to get blamed for what happens next, if you will. We're going to see how it all happens. They're going to try to blame Trump, but everything else is going to be good. All the other numbers are going to be good. We're going to be making money with tariffs, yet we're going to have this huge financial issue with the dollar, which is going to be directly related to the Fed. So it's all going to be about the dollar and the treasuries, which treasuries are the Treasury Department, best of my understanding. But the Fed's the one that's dealing with the dollar, and so we've got some problems. Right now, gold is down a teeny bit, $20, but it's still up $3,326. Dang. It's gone up a bunch in this short period of time. Again, protecting you. I'm just going to say it. I've got another commercial I'm doing anyway, but drslikesgold.com. drslikesgold.com. I actually still think there's a little bit of time to get out because I do believe, me personally, not necessarily Goldco, but me personally, I very much believe that this whole process is going to come down and things are going to start to spin, and it's the Fed needs to come down. It has to. European central banks have to come down. They're private organizations. They have to come down. And the actual bankruptcy of this country is most likely needed as well. Now, again, you can restructure debt and stuff like that, and then we can move into a different sort of system. And if he's got all of these assets and all of this infrastructure and all of this foreign money coming in, we can pull it off at that time. Trump knows what he's doing. The deep state seems to be handling it at a very surface level, not really getting into the weeds too much, it seems. And maybe it's because most Americans are not smart enough to get it. But yeah, it's pretty crazy what's going on. I want to talk about healthy home. First off, manifesting healthy lifestyle, healthy living is you think about healthy things. I do healthy things. I'm exercising. I'm taking walks. I'm buying products that help me with my health. Supplements and all these things, right? That's how you live healthier, right? You try to eat healthier. You try to you try to eat healthy in general. Now, a lot of people might be sick, might be ill, and what they often try to do is try to get rid of the sickness. So how do I heal the sickness? And that's the thing. You can't heal something that you stare at. You've got to focus on what it was like or what it is like to be without the sickness. And what would you be doing? How would you be acting if you didn't have the sickness? You'd be living healthily. You'd be doing things to keep you healthy. Well, a lot of these sicknesses can be turned around in a lot of ways. STEM Active is a powerful product that there's two ways to get it. You can get the gel. I think it's a couple bucks cheaper, and you can get STEM Active. This is just really the pills. I like the pills. It's just easier for me, right? Pop in two, take a sip, and good to go. But this is a powerful thing. It helps your stem cells in your own body. It helps you get more of them, which is what heals you. If you need heart cells for some reason, right? Stem cells are what run down to the heart and become, I don't know why I'm pointing over at my shoulder, but they run down to the heart and become the heart. You need lung cells, stem cells come in and become lung cells. And once they become something, they're done. That's it. They're it forever. That's the thing. All the cells in your body that are specialized, they can't become something else. Skin cells are always skin cells no matter what. But stem cells can be everything. So if you've got a cut, you've got burns, you've got shoulders. Like for me, it was the shoulder. That's what tripped me out. I dislocated it, and I think I had some injury in there, and I have noticed a huge difference. I don't feel pain anymore. The STEM Active is, and it's not that it's a pain killer, that's actually, I think, helped heal the thing. I'm working out. I've put more weight up. I'm actually bulking a little bit. It's kind of stretch, but I'm getting higher weights in same reps, and it's amazing what it's doing. I will also say this product too, Prime, for working out. The energy on this, incredible. It's also reasonably inexpensive. Again, great products. Balance. All right, so I'm hearing a lot more about this. I'm even hearing dudes are using this. What it is it's like a lotion, okay? And you put it like right on your wrist, and you just rub it. I don't think it's got a fragrance or anything. But what it does is it helps you with all of our hormones. And dudes, just like me, as we get older especially, cortisone and some of these others, these are hormones, right? These are hormones. When they say hormones, I think that's what I was telling her. I'm like, a lot of dudes, I think, instantly think estrogen. Like, I don't get that shit out of there. Like, I don't want any of that. No, it helps your body with your own hormones using plant-based stuff. It literally helps. People are saying they're sleeping better. They're saying their stomachs feel better. They're noticing a way difference in just how they feel. I didn't understand this product. I thought it was for the change. Now, it seems to be as we get older, it kind of helps with a lot of the hormonal parts of growing older. And that happens to us dudes too, especially if you want to get out and work out more. It'll help with that. I'm actually going to get this and try it because I'm wondering actually if it'll help with sort of the testosterone side of things, you know? Like, it's natural plant-based. It's not putting any hormones in your body at all. It's a really awesome way to do it. Amaze will amaze you. It's collagen peptides. It is going to help. You've got sagging skin, sore muscles, joints, discomfort, all that stuff that happens as we grow older. Yeah, this is awesome. It is a great source of collagen. It's liquid, it's delicious, and you get 15 packs. So keep that in mind. There's everything else is 30, like a month's supply. Even Balance is more than that. Balance can last you months. But everything's 30 typically. This isn't. Amaze is 15. You got to get 2 of these. I'm sorry if you want to go a whole month, but it's incredible. Or if you want to go every other day, you know, it's up to you. It's up to you. You should certainly try it out. It helps a lot. Prime, I've already told you about. It's amazing. Energy helps expand your blood vessels. So for working out and stuff like that, there's nothing better. Also, I found out the Stem Active for pets is not very expensive. It's like $60 or something like that. I mean, compared to the other stuff, what people have said, is this made of gold? It's not that bad, but I mean, it works really, really well. And, you know, if you wanted to get stem cell therapy, that's actually like $1,000 or more. It's probably way more than $1,000. And they're actually using fetal stem cells. This is just, again, using your own body to produce more stem cells by 25 to 40%, significant, and it works very quickly. Stem cells for your pets, the same thing. If you've got a pet that's certainly gone through surgery, is maybe injured in any way, shape, or form, maybe he's got arthritis and stuff like that, I actually recommend getting some of the Stem Active for the pets. Like I said, it's not expensive. And what's funny is most of us will pay money to keep our pets alive, right? But we won't spend the money on ourselves. That's what I love about Healthy Home. danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. It's danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. By the way, I just, real quick, guys, and I apologize, but this is something that I can't get a hold of the people that are actually members, but you can actually join. There's a few different ways to join. A lot of you have. There's a member, there's a customer, and you just buy stuff and basically pay retail price. There is become a member. You get a $9.95 monthly membership fee that you have to pay, but you get member pricing, and you have the ability to sell the product, and you can earn percentage sales and all that great stuff. There's also an executive member, and that's, you have the ability to enroll members. You have full access to healthy pay. You get your own website, you get access to training, you earn percent of sales and team sales, and you have an option to subscribe. But the other thing is, you don't even have to have other people involved in this. You go down this path, you're not paying the $9.99, just, I mean, auto ship, but you're actually getting the best pricing. That's the thing. It's the lowest price when you do the executive membership. And to get into it, there's actually, you can just buy literally one of these, and that get your membership going. I mean, you can pay $9.95 a month and become a member. I think there's a way to upgrade it, by the way, if you guys, and we're trying to look into how that is, and I'll let you guys know what it is. Maybe I might even have it by the end of the show. But again, I just wanted to mention that because it's actually a very cool way to get the cheapest pricing. And like I said, it doesn't really cost you anything extra, and you only really benefit from it. It's kind of cool. And again, being a member, I think a lot of you guys are. There's a bunch of you out there that are members. I actually recommend considering trying to at least look into, and like I said, I'll see if I can find it for you. But becoming an executive member's got some benefits that you might want to take advantage of. All said, incredible products when you go to shopping. It is, of course, good stuff. So you want to go to danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. That's danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. All right, here we go. Donald Trump truthed this out. He says he is pleased. He says, I am pleased to announce that Jay Clayton, this is pretty funny, ironic, hilarious. So just to give the story, Schumer's blocking the guy to get into the Southern District and the Eastern District of New York. Schumer's blocking the one that Trump wants to put in, right? He's trying to get this guy, allowed in, right? Nominated or whatever, okay? Well, what did Trump do? Because Jay Clayton's the guy that Trump wanted to nominate, that Schumer's like, no. So Trump's like, all right, well, in the interim, I'm going to go ahead and announce that Jay Clayton is the interim United States Attorney for the Southern District of New York. While you all try to figure out if it's okay that he becomes the United States Attorney for the Southern District of New York, I'm going to put him in there on the interim as the Attorney General for the Southern District of New York. You see how he played that? Yeah. Yeah, you know they're not liking that. Former cybersecurity agency chief Chris Krebs. He leaves the Sentinel-1. I hate that product, by the way. I'm sure it's great, whatever. I hated it. Don't like it. Anyway. Chris Krebs leaves Sentinel-1 after Trump targets him in an executive order. This is interesting how this all played out. So last week, President Trump signed an executive order specifically targeting Chris Krebs, the former head of Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, a.k.a. CISA. Safest election ever. You remember that, dude? The order called Krebs a significant bad faith actor who weaponized and abused his government authority. Trump called for Krebs and any associated entities, including Sentinel-1, to have security clearances suspended. So what did Sentinel-1 do? Well, I don't know, but within a very short period of time, suddenly Chris Krebs is stepping down, stepping out, stepping away. He announced his resignation from Sentinel-1, a cybersecurity company worth $5.6 billion market cap. Basically, they told him, look, here's the thing. You're going to cost us all these contracts. Can't have it. You're out. Later. Hit the road, Jack. Don't you come back. So Chris Krebs is in a very tough place. And, of course, he's going to continue to badmouth Trump, which is only going to continue to make the pain grow. That's all. Former top Pentagon spokesperson John Olyott said on Wednesday that he's going to resign at the end of the week. Oh, shucks. Olyott announcement comes in a week when the Pentagon reportedly placed 3 political appointed senior aides to Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth on administrative leave in an investigation into leaks. Now, what's interesting is that he's going to resign at the end of the week. Not sure what he did that doesn't require immediate firing, but I'm guessing that he might have been the supervisor of the other 3 or tied into that in some weird way, shape, or form. So the Pentagon has also faced scrutiny in recent weeks over the Atlantic's editor-in-chief being inadvertently added to the Signal group chat. Of course, we heard all about that. So this is a Politico article, I believe. So it's going to spin it in its direction. We got the important part of it. Washington Examiner put this out, so of course take it for what it's worth. Congress launches investigation into Biden administration using CCP-linked nonprofit to manage land near military bases. Yeah, they want to look into why they were doing that and okaying it. Why was that okay? China and Biden, it's going to work out badly. Hillary Clinton, McConnell, a whole bunch of these guys, right? Schumer, Pelosi, right? Probably Swalwell, all those Swalwell, all those guys are going to be just screwed. So it's coming. Again, the movie is playing out mostly for the people that aren't aware of what's happening. So it is. Dems, oops, this is pretty bad. Pretty bad here. And I'm gonna enjoy this. You're gonna enjoy this. Wouldn't you like to enjoy this too? That didn't work. The government of El Salvador denied a request from Senator Chris Van Hollen to see or speak to his Maryland constituents who was mistakenly deported there. Senator went there. He's the one that he wants to talk to this guy. He wants to make sure he's okay. This terrorist. Van Hollen told reporters he asked El Salvador Vice President Felix Ulloa during a meeting, or Ulloa? I have no idea. Ulloa? Must be, if it's Spanish. It's AA. Anyway, whatever. He's being held in the U.S. courts, blah, 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 right? His answer was that the Trump administration is paying El Salvador, the government of El Salvador, to keep him at CCOT. Vice President told Van Hollen he needs to make earlier provisions to visit CCOT. The senator said he asked if he could visit Abrego Garcia if he returns next week. The vice president said he can't make that promise, per Van Hollen. The Maryland senator asked to speak to Abrego Garcia on the phone, and Ulloa said he cannot arrange that, but can try to do so if the American embassy asks, which Trump controls. Van Hollen said he will ask the embassy to do so. Yes, but the embassy is probably controlled by Trump. We're going to see what happens, and it just gets worse. Now, borders on Tom Homan tore into Democrat. He's pissed, and frankly, let's be honest, we all love it when Tom's pissed, because this is the dude that's fighting for us and fighting for our border and fighting to stop child trafficking. So, again, powerful part of this, and then we're going to get to the burner. Oh, man, Levitt just tears into the press. It's crazy. Check it out.
Is being held. Let's bring in the man himself. Border Czar Tom Homan joins us now. Tom, I just want to focus on one portion when the senator said that he was abducted. As the former leader of ICE, What do you say to him?
He wasn't abducted. He's an MS-13 gang member, classified as a terrorist that was removed from this country. So we got rid of a dangerous person, an El Salvadoran national, was returned to the country of El Salvador, so he's home. We removed him from the United States. He's a public safety threat. That's exactly what should have happened. And I'm just disgusted that any congressional representative is going to run to El Salvador his aid. When yesterday, I read in his state, an illegal alien charged with murder was released back into the community, and not the ICE detainer wasn't honored, and ICE had to go find him in his state. In his state, the murder of Rachel Murrin yesterday. Listen to the testimony and listen to the mother on Handy last night. If you're not human, then your heart wasn't broken. It's just in his state. But rather than taking care of the constituents in his state, the victims of illegal crime in his state, he's going to run to El Salvador to protect an MS-13 terrorist. It's just disgusting.
You just talked about that sound from Patty Moore and Rachel's mom. We actually have it. Let's play it.
I'm very angry. I'm actually outraged, but I'm too sad at the moment to show anger at the same time. There was no action on the Democratic Party in any way, from Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Mayorkas, anyone here in Maryland, none of the senators did anything to help search for the murderer of my daughter.
Tom, where were the phone calls? Where were the congressional delegations at her funeral, supporting her family when she was killed?
They don't care.
Not an illegal.
They don't care. And further on in the testimony, in her interview, she talks about how her young daughter died, how she suffered, how she fought for her life. Just like and Riley, for how long? 17 minutes she fought for her life. That young girl didn't want to die. So these congressmen and senators, how do these women die? Look how they fought for their lives. Do they have daughters? Do they have any care at all for American citizens that are victims of these crimes? But they're loud and screaming now about this MS-13 game. I mean, where were they when we had 12 million illegal aliens coming across the border? Where were they when we had 600% increase in sex trafficking? Where were they when we had 4,000 aliens dying making this journey under Joe Biden? Where were they when 250,000 Americans dying from fentanyl? It's just ridiculous. Every day I can't believe what I'm hearing. Yesterday I hear about a case in Washington State. 2 illegal aliens from Venezuela kidnapped and tortured and tried to kill a woman, robbing her using a power drill, torturing her and drilling through her hand. Every day I sit at the White House and hear these cases of sanctuary cities not helping ICE remove public safety threats from their communities.
Well, Tom, the proof is in the pudding, and
yeah, I gotta have some pudding. Now I'm hungry. Yeah, he's pissed. Now here's some evidence. Abrego being actually MS-13. It's on his sheet. Prince George's County's Police Department's gang field interview sheet. Page 2, I'm assuming this is. Arrested alone or no dress. They had a reliable source, affiliated gang, and frequents gang area. All those things basically say, yeah, this dude's a banger. They already figured it out. It's already done. There's the proof. Now, I don't know what administrative thing happened in the court case. That dude got fired, basically. Okay, probably tried to screw that, didn't he? And here we have evidence. Now, here's where I think this is Levitt talking crazy and, busting this down. It's going to be pretty gnarly. Check this out.
Maryland Democrat Senator Chris Van Hollen rushed to Dulles Airport this morning to fly to El Salvador, potentially using taxpayer dollars to demand the release of deported, illegal, alien MS-13 terrorist. The Democrats and the media in this room have continually and wrongly labeled Kilmar Abrego Garcia as a Maryland father. There is no Maryland father. Let me reiterate. Kilmar Abrego Garcia is an illegal alien, MS-13 gang member and foreign terrorist who was deported back to his home country. And when Kilmar Abrego Garcia was originally arrested, he was wearing a sweatshirt with rolls of money covering the ears, mouth, and eyes of presidents on various currency denominations. This is a known MS-13 gang symbol of hear no evil, speak no evil, see no evil. Abrego Garcia was also arrested with 2 other well-known members of the vicious MS-13 gang. And 2 separate judges found that Abrego Garcia was a member of MS-13, and that finding has never been disputed. And just this morning, it was revealed through Maryland court documents that Abrego Garcia's wife petitioned for an order of protection against him for 2 instances of domestic violence in May of 2021. And here is the order right here. The court ordered that the respondent committed the following acts of abuse. Once in May of 2021, assault in any degree. And on May 4th of 2021, he punched and scratched his wife, ripped off her shirt, and grabbed and bruised her. This is from a court in Maryland. So not only are Democrats rushing to defend an illegal criminal foreign terrorist gang member, but also an apparent woman beater. To set all of that aside, the basic fact that he was illegally inside our country and had a lawful deportation order made him subject to removal back to his home country of El Salvador. And if he ever ends up back in the United States, he would immediately be deported again. Nothing will change the fact that Abrego Garcia will never be a Maryland father. He will never live in the United States of America again. And the United States Supreme Court ruled unanimously that the President of the United States and the Secretary of State could not be compelled to forcibly retrieve this citizen of El Salvador who is currently locked up in a maximum security prison in his home country due to his MS-13 membership. To remind the media and the Democrat Party, MS-13 are among the most vicious and dangerous individuals in this world. They pose a direct threat to the United States, El Salvador, and any other country who maintains basic law and order. MS-13 rapes innocent girls and women, runs sex trafficking operations, murders for sport, and terrorizes law-abiding people. That's why El Salvador President Bukele made it clear this week that he will not be releasing this MS-13 gang member from his prison. But that is not enough. All of that is not enough to stop the Democrat Party from their lies. The number one issue they are focused on right now is bringing back this illegal alien terrorist to America. But where are the Democrats applauding the fact that southern border crossings just hit a historic low? Where are the Democrats supporting our brave men and women of law enforcement who are putting their lives on the line every single day to arrest the violent illegal alien invaders that the previous administration allowed into our country? And where are the Democrats when innocent Americans are victimized by illegal criminals that Joe Biden let in? It's appalling and sad that Senator Van Hollen and the Democrats applauding his trip to El Salvador today are incapable of having any shred of common sense or empathy for their own constituents and our citizens. Nobody knows this more than the woman standing to my right.
Yeah, or my left. But yeah, there's so huge stuff coming out, obviously, that these guys are just horribly bad, right? We had Tulsi Gabbard. She declassified the Biden administration's strategic implementation plan for countering domestic terrorism following America First Legal's request earlier this month. I have it open. I don't want to jump through it just for time's sake. But a bunch of places in there talk about establishing who the domestic terrorists are, trying to not have them happen, screening and all that nonsense that obviously hasn't been done, right? So it talks about how that's supposed to be part of his administration's plan, yet hundreds of thousands of people were just brought across the board without any vetting like it asked for in his documentation. So again, the Biden administration's out of their mind. I don't know if they could vet in there, yeah. Strategic goal 30.3, ensure that screening and vetting process consider the full range of terrorism threats. Well, we're going to find when I get down to this last slide, Kash Patel's established, might as well pull it here now. Kash Patel, over 6,000 subjects detained and arrested thus far since January 20th. 310 are Tren de Aragua members, and 136 are MS-13. Those are basically terrorists. And there's been people that have been on the terrorists' most wanted list. And our friend Abrego, well, he's been in this country since 2022, from what we understand. He was detained in 2022. And during a nearly 2-hour traffic stop, the Tennessee Highway Patrol officer determined that Abrego Garcia, pictured above, was operating the vehicle without a valid driver's license and began searching for information about him. Something about the traffic stop caused concern in the middle of the THP officer that other law enforcement agencies should be alerted. This is what one source told The Star, that THP ultimately discovered Abrego Garcia was on a terrorist watch list, but could not locate Abrego Garcia on a deportation list. Another source told The Star that THP did not discover Abrego Garcia on a terrorist watch list, but that another one of the 7 passengers in the vehicle may have been on the terrorist watch list. The THP subsequently called the FBI, which was then led by the former director Christopher Wray under the Biden administration. The FBI instructed the THP officers at the scene to capture photographs of all 8 people in the vehicle and document its contents. Once the photographs were captured, the source told The Star that the FBI requested THP release all 8 individuals and that the THP officers complied with this request. This is Abrego. Wife of deported Maryland man, we already heard. Yeah, she's experienced multiple times. She accused her husband of violently beating her multiple times in 2021 court filing exclusively obtained by Daily Mail and also shown by Levitt. And we got, of course, the Chicago mayor calling Trump a racist. So he's not going to, he's calling him a terrorist for trying to round these people up. And when I say these people, I mean terrorists, heavy criminals, all that nonsense. Yeah, that's what I mean by those people. So we have an interesting situation. We might have one of the first people that likely could be taken into custody. You see, a mayor would be significantly easier, I think, to arrest than a governor, though I think we'll get an experience of that at some point, too. And again, from the Q posts, which I did pay attention to, one of the key ones that I think will play out is the first arrest will sort of show the way. And I think that's been interpreted a lot of different ways, much like much of the information out there. I saw somebody in chat, Dubbard, very mad at me for what I've been talking about that I think, and it's just funny, all you got to do is offer a little bit of an alternative theory or an adjustment or expand on a theory a little bit and how much you piss people off. It just reminds me of 9/11. So like, Dubbard, no offense, dude, but like, I will never really care that you're upset that I talked about an alternative method and it makes you uncomfortable. Like anybody out there, it's possible that chemtrailing is a significantly larger and different thing than we realize. And again, I just still contend that I think from a logistics standpoint, I get there's grids and all that nonsense, but from a logistics standpoint, like, I just feel like it'd be extremely difficult to have fleets and fleets and fleets of airplanes that literally have some sort of nozzles coming off them or whatever, or maybe unique fuel that nobody seems to know about, and then they fly them in weird ways and nobody's paying attention to that. I don't know. To me, that seems harder to believe than we've got air traffic controls like, hey, here's the heading you should fly. And that's why it makes grids, because honestly, for people that don't know, when you're traveling to certain parts, they have you in flight corridors. There's literally corridors you fly in. So yeah, you would see straight lines, and yeah, they would be grid-like. Again, it's just funny how people are. I find the same situation with religion. You can't step outside of the box at all in religion, or else you're a horrible person. You can't do it with Q, otherwise you're a horrible person. I wasn't allowed to do it with 9/11, horrible person. JFK, horrible person. Hawaii or Pearl Harbor, horrible person. Yeah, I get it. There's a crap ton of people I'm going to piss off. And I try to do it nicely. I really do. I even try to let you guys know you're probably going to feel this way. Meh. I don't know. FCC Chairman Brandon Carr takes aim at Comcast over coverage of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. He's got an interesting point. At first when I read this, I'm like, man, this is like freaking dictatorship heavy-handed nonsense, right? Like I'm trying to stay in the middle of the road here, and if Trump does something kind of crazy, I'm gonna be like, whoa there, horsey. Okay? But this, I don't know, I think he might be onto something. FCC Chairman Brandon Carr took aim at CNN and MSNBC, deeming their coverage of Kilmar Abrego Garcia's deportations news distortion, is what he's calling it. It's like the new kind of term, if you will. So on Wednesday, Carr took to X to share his thoughts about how the Comcast outlets were covering the Garcia situation, responding to a post by White House Director of Communications Assistant Stephen Chung. Comcast outlets spent days misleading the American public, implying that Abrego Garcia was merely a law-abiding U.S. citizen, just a regular Maryland man, Carr wrote. When the truth comes out, they ignore it. Comcast knows that federal law requires its licensed operations to serve the public interest. News distortion doesn't cut it. And that's where it hit me. I was like, damn, and that's right. And I'm even careful with how I say things. When you make claims about somebody and you don't necessarily have any solid evidence, you better put some wiggle room in your words or else you could be found liable. The only reason many people get away with it is because you're so small and nobody sees it. I would even say, for my sake, I'm probably not quite big enough. They usually go after, your Tuckers, your Joe Rogans, and Charlie Kirks, right? Like, I'm still growing. I'm still enhancing, and I think the timing is always perfect. I think it's been intentional to a large extent. Trump files appeal of Judge Boasberg's probable cause for a contempt order. Finally did put it in there. I was surprised on the actual order. It was huge. It's extraordinarily long, and it just lists everybody. Like there's 80 pages of just all the people that are involved in this lawsuit. It's like, damn. He's like, nah, we want to get this up to the appeals court. This is stupid what he's asking for. Boasberg's a dick. Obviously, we know that. And I can call him a dick because that's just an opinion, right? Others could say, no, he's a really nice guy. He's not a dick, Dan. That's not fair. And I'm like, well, I don't know. He seems like a dick to me. So, we're going to agree to disagree on that one. Donald Trump scores legal win over Judge Chutkan. You guys remember that name too, don't you? Uh-huh. A court has temporarily blocked a ruling from U.S. District Judge Tanya Chutkan regarding the funding of former President Joe Biden's climate programs. She was the one that said you have to pay that money that was in that Chase, that $20 billion or whatever the hell, offshores account. She's like, you have to pay all these people. Well, the D.C. Court of Appeals halted the judge's Tuesday ruling and ordered Citibank to release billions of dollars to these green grants. And so she's been halted. We'll see what happens. But basically the way the court's saying it is like, you can't force them to spend this money, and it's not going to hurt to wait a little bit longer to get to the end of this lawsuit. And Chutkan's like, we want to force him to do what we want, because Chutkan's another... Can I call her a dick? I want to, but I feel like that's inappropriate. But who knows? Today, I don't know what her pronouns are. Oh, I said her. Sorry. Oops. Can you believe it? This is Donald Trump asking us if we can believe it. A judge ruled against us on 530,000 illegal migrants that Joe Biden flew over the border in his program to transport illegals into the country by airplane, saying that they can't be looked at as a group, but that each case has to be tried individually. Based on the court system, that would take approximately 100 years. What is going on with our courts? They're totally out of control. Caps, again, what? That seem to hate Trump so much that anything goes. We are trying to bring our country back from the destruction caused by the Democrats and crooked Joe Biden. I won on policy of common sense. And what common sense do we have when we have 530,000 trials? Oh, I can't read. This radicalized judge is saying that sleepy Joe Biden can't fly more than 500,000 illegals, can fly more than 500,000 illegals into America in one day. But we have to hold many years of long and tedious trials to fly each and every one of them back home. Where's the justice here? Why can't I read his crap? His stuff is harder to read. He writes really weird. I'm going to be honest. He speaks beautifully. He writes weird. I might piss somebody off, though. I got to be careful now. I lose a listener. President Trump administration is going to ask the U.S. Federal Appeals Court on Thursday to pause a judge's ruling lifting access restrictions the White House has imposed on the Associated Press for referring to the Gulf of Mexico on its coverage. The Trump administration has argued that the lower court ruling, which mandates AP journalists be granted access to press events in the White House, infringes on the president's ability to decide whom to admit to sensitive spaces. The White House has asked to put the ruling on hold while it appeals. AP News, AP went back to the judge. Judge, help us. He won't let us in. Yeah, you're screwed. And he took away the whole wire thing, so you're screwed on that too. You're doubly screwed. Let's see if we can get a third screwing, because they say 3 strikes and you're out. Supreme Court's going to hear oral arguments on whether Trump can implement birthright citizenship plan. This is huge. Huge. Now, this, if anything, is going to go probably 5-4 is my guess. I don't know, maybe if we're lucky it goes further, but I doubt it. John Roberts, I worry about. I don't think he's going to be okay putting his name on the side that says, no, this had to do with slaves, and that was the whole point of this from the get-go. Not that if you somehow managed to get into the country while you were pregnant and pop out a baby that guaranteed citizenship. I don't think that was what they meant by the law. I don't know. I have a hard time believing John Roberts is going to do that, but to me, this is going to be an indication of how much the good guys have him by the short curlies, if you know what I mean. Like if he actually does side with the others, and this goes 5-4, basically saying, no, you can't just pop out babies here and get guaranteed citizenship, then that's going to demonstrate that we do, in fact, have control. Part of why maybe the Epstein list hasn't come out yet. Like, there's a lot of things. Again, that pisses people off too. They want it black and white. It's got to be out now. They said they were going to do it. Well, maybe it's more complex than they said. Maybe they didn't realize that before they got in there. It happens. You know, it's great to, on paper, to say, this is what should happen. Well, sometimes things don't work out like that, right? It just does. I don't know. A report from an education watch group found that more than 350 schools have continued implementing DEI inclusion programs, even though they're not supposed to. They've supposedly changed the wording, the names, stuff like that to make it harder to find. Whistleblowers are going to come out and tell us what the new words are, and once we know what the new words are, we're just going to do a search on those words. Once we find those schools, you're still going to lose your funding, and in fact, it's probably going to be worse because you tried to hide it. The cover-up is always worse than the crime itself, right? I don't know if it's worse than the crime itself, but it just enhances the whole criminal component to it. I forget the proper phrase that I was trying to do, right? But yeah, the cover-up always makes it worse, man. Always makes it worse. This is kind of funny, I think. You guys remember this guy? His name is Robert Hur. He was the one that said Joe Biden was basically too retarded to actually go to trial for stealing documents. So that's that. Though Trump, it's cool. We can throw the book at his ass, even though, Biden's, 3 years older than Trump? 4 years older than Trump? Not that much older. Obviously way stupider, unquestionably. Obviously way more retarded, unquestionable. Unless you ask someone that hates Trump with all their heart and soul, then they would see it the other way. But he's supposedly going to be helping he's fighting the new battle. He puts what is it? I heard former special counsel assigned to investigate Joe Biden's retention of classified documents. That guy. Now many liberals and Biden now. I got to read this whole damn thing. Where's the special counsel is representing Harvard? There we go. That's what matters. Fuck. I need all this bullshit. Get out of here. Returning to Harvard. He's going to back them up. Robert Hur. He didn't work real well for the government back when we needed him to. Remember, he made that mistake of talking about how, you shouldn't be retarded and be president, and therefore, he put that in his report, by the way. He didn't use those words. I think it is more appropriate for the individual, whatever the case is. We've got some 9/11 stuff. Again, for me, it's funny just how much of this, within a few years of 9/11 that a lot of us kind of had dialed in. I haven't seen a lot of new stuff. A couple things here and there, nothing that really changes the big picture that we attacked ourselves, and we did it so people would agree to extreme hardcore lockdown security, type of existence. The draconian, I think they call it, right? Like, that's basically where we ended up after 9/11. So I got a couple little pieces here, and I think you guys are going to enjoy this, especially any of you that have woken up recently, which I think is quite a few people out there. You're going to be surprised. 9/11 was definitely, they knew. And I don't think Osama bin Laden had anything to do with it, by the way. He might have, but I doubt it. Like, I don't think so. Dude in the cave. Like, this whole thing, and as one of these guys talks about, we knew the CIA was directly involved. And second off, there's been pilots that have been put in simulators and tried to do this, and it's hard as hell to do. These planes aren't meant to fly like that. Now, again, whether a plane hit or didn't hit, man, there's all sorts. I'm not dying on that hill. Like, I don't know exactly what happened. I do believe thermite was used. There was evidence to suggest that. I don't know if planes actually hit it, if they were maybe cruise missiles, if it was something different. Certainly, there's places where damage was happening. There was a lady just waving like everything was cool and it wasn't on fire anymore. Yet that building it was like moments before it collapsed that she was waving like, we're all good. And then the building just falls on its own footprint. And then the other one falls on its own footprint. And then building 7 falls on its own footprint. And there's actually a fourth building. I want to say building 3 also fell in its footprint. We never talk about that. And that's got to be the one that's got all sorts of crazy stuff. I did recently hear that the CIA apparently had 2 floors on one of these buildings as well. Strange.
I'm Congressman Kurt Weldon. Thanks for coming out today. Reluctantly, I stand to provide further information on the Able Danger situation. When I first started this effort back in June, when the full Able Danger story came to my attention, I said it could be anything from gross incompetence to a cover-up bigger than Watergate. I today will tell you, after months of looking at this issue, that there's a cover-up that's taken place and continues to take place, and therefore I'm asking for a criminal investigation as of this date. I just finished an hour-and-a-half meeting with the Inspector General at the Department of Defense. 4 employees went into extensive briefings, and they advised me there had been 2 other requests besides mine of their office, including a request from the Senate and other request from the House. So there are 3 separate requests for an IG investigation specifically on Able Danger and the deliberate persecution, intimidation, and the ruining of Lieutenant Colonel Tony Schaefer's career. It is absolutely outrageous at what's occurred because an Army Lieutenant Colonel, Bronze Star recipient, has been punished and had his career ruined for telling the truth. The reason why the Defense Intelligence Agency is so aggressively after Tony Schaefer is because, in telling the truth, he's going to embarrass bureaucrats within the defense intelligence community. He's going to embarrass politicians in the previous administration and perhaps some in this administration. He's going to lay out a story that will be corroborated by at least 5 others that will detail the fact that the Unit Able Danger identified Muhammad Atta and 3 other terrorists in January of 2000. The story will corroborate that in September of 2000, on 3 separate occasions, attempts were made to transfer information about the Brooklyn cell of Al-Qaeda, including Muhammad Atta and 3 others, to the FBI. On all 3 occasions, lawyers within the Defense Department stopped the meetings from occurring. Those meetings have been corroborated by an FBI employee still working for the agency who has in fact given sworn statements to the Senate Judiciary Committee. She also knew the purpose of those meetings. And then we had the 9/11 situation where Muhammad Atta was in fact clearly identified before 9/11 as a part of the Brooklyn cell. And I now can tell you publicly that the 9/11 Commission has done nothing but hide this information. They have been unwilling to come forward to investigate. I sent the 9/11 Commission a letter dated, I sent the 9/11 Commission a letter dated August 10th to the 2 co-chairmen and all members copied. That's August the 10th. No response to this letter has come, and today is November the 9th. Now, when I questioned Lee Hamilton in a hearing yesterday, he said, well, Congressman, we're very busy. Well, they had time to send me a congratulatory letter for my work on interoperable communications. That came about a month ago. They had time for Slade Gordon to send a 5-page letter to the 9/11 Commission dated September 20th, which, by the way, they did not copy me on. So they had time to do all this, but no time to answer the initial allegations 1 week after the story first surfaced, and on 3 different days in that first week, they changed their response 3 different times. You can check the New York Times stories each day, and you can check their response. It changed each day. There's a cover-up here. It is clear. It is unequivocal.
It was unquestionable at the time, and they did a heavy job of censoring. But back then, the big thing they always did was the intimidation with others. They got very angry. People would get very angry. They would question your patriotism. That was actually the thing that they would do, is they would call you unpatriotic, right? It was awesome. And again, so a lot of you guys that have gone through the awakening process more recently, and they're like, they've just been so mean. Yeah, people on the other, unawake people are dicks. No offense. They are. They do crazy, irrational name calling. They've gotta tell you they're mad at you, right? Like, it's like, what? Like, and again, I don't even know if this dude's real. Obviously, people don't want you talking about something that's maybe closer to the truth. So again, offering Options is not a bad thing. And 9/11 is one of these situations I learned. I went through it, and it was just unquestionable. By the way, for those just real quick on the healthy home thing, there's two ways you can change to the executive member. For those of you guys out there, I highly recommend it because you're not going to pay the $10 a month and you get better pricing. Okay, it's just right there. It's worth it. All you got to do is buy a starter kit. Now, here's the thing. There's two ways to do it. You can either get in touch with corporate, and they're actually pretty easy about that kind of stuff, and change your membership that way, and you'll probably just do a purchase over the phone or whatever. Just make sure you keep my name in there, please. But the easiest way, honestly, is just literally create a new account, go to join, go to executive member, use all the same information you've already once used, same email and everything else. But you might have to adjust maybe the link that you use. Outside of that, you just buy a starter kit, and it can literally be one thing. There's a whole crap ton of choices. So you can go in at real cheap, or you can actually get some really cool bundles, and there's some freebies. So try to read some of that stuff, but it's super cool. You're going to save a ton of money. That's the beautiful part. All right, Tucker had this guy Kurt Weldon on. This whole interview I want to watch because, again, he was someone that was directly involved. He's saying stuff that he's been saying that I think a lot of us kind of knew already that have been around the block a few times. Most people, I don't think. That's where I realized. That's why I got to share this. I'm like, crap. Most people don't know about this probably. So anyway, there's some really major 9/11 or 9/11 stuff, or 9/11 sounds better. It's crazy. And again, they something that they don't talk about. The one thing I'll never forget was the firemen. You heard the recording of them saying "pull it," and that was right before Building 7 came down. It's just so many crazy things that happened that day. It was crazy.
Do I think 9/11 is going to be the biggest scandal in our lifetime and beyond? Yes, I think it's going to be the biggest scandal in the history of America because it occurred on U.S. soil and because it is so recent that we have relevant information still available.
That's right.
We have recorded information. We have personal information. Once people realize they can talk and not be afraid of being killed or not being afraid of being ostracized. And you know what gets me is reporters who call people, conspiracy theorists. Well, that's all the agency does.
I know.
They're the ones that create the conspiracies.
I'm aware.
I mean, cut me a break.
I'm aware.
They have whole courses for their agents on how to make people look like they're conspiracy theorists.
And the propaganda operations designed to discredit.
Exactly.
Right. And
so all we want is the truth.
Of course.
So Trump, appoint people of impeccable integrity. Let them study the facts. I will testify under oath everything I know about intelligence. Let these 3,000 architects who are risking their careers, making nothing, let them testify under oath. There has been this subtle pressure to the firefighters and to the officers not to talk for obvious reasons. You know what this involves politically. And look what happened to the chief of L.A. The female chief of L.A. comes out and says that the resources were taken away from her for the field forest fires. And what does the mayor do? She fires her. That was just a few weeks ago. The firefighters are always a scapegoat. That's why, Tucker, I'm done with this. If it's the last thing I do, firefighters are not going to be taken for granted anymore. We're going to rise up. We're going to shake the country to its roots. So, firefighters are not second-class citizens.
Well, they certainly shouldn't be.
But if they talk, they'll get sidelined. They'll be called crazies, even though they heard explosions. They can't be allowed to say that.
They heard explosions?
Yeah, absolutely. It's on tape.
Well,
we have people coming out of the buildings that heard explosions. We have film footage of people that talked to Fox News that was taken off the air and then now that was brought back by X. That's all available. That's why you need a commission to go back and look at all the lies.
So there are, and pardon my ignorance, but there are people on tape saying I heard explosions.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. They are the only high-rise buildings in the world that have ever come down from an airplane hitting them. And those buildings, I read the report from the architect who designed them. They were designed to withstand an airplane hitting the building and standing tall.
And especially Building 7, which had no plane hit it. Right.
No plane hit it. And the building just, you can see it when you watch it on TV, it just implodes straight down. And what really got me again was Oriole Palmer, the battalion chief, arising on the...
Well, tell us who he was. What is...
Okay, Oriole Palmer was one of the most inspirational battalion chiefs in New York.
FDNY,
who immediately, in very good shape, had a family, a couple of kids, went into the building as soon as they got on the scene, took the elevator up to the 40th floor, got off the elevator, and you can hear him on the comm system say, I'm here, 40th floor, we're going to start walking up the stairwells. Every 5 floors, he radios back to communication. I'm on the 50th floor. Everything's okay. We're on floor 60. Everything's okay. He's going up. Every so many floors, he gives a report. He reaches the 78th floor, the floor of impact. He comes out of the stair tower. And as clear as you listening to me here, and I know I get passionate and I apologize to your listeners for that. He says, we're on floor 78, the floor of impact. We've got 2 fires and we can handle them. 1 minute later, the whole building collapses. That's not normal. That is not acceptable. That is not what happened.
And this is on tape?
It's on tape.
You had 3 buildings come down, sort of collapse in on themselves, implode, it looked like. And like a lot of people have said, many credible, non-crazy people have said that was controlled demolition. Was it?
Well, when I got up there the day after, I had been in the Trade Center at the restaurant on the top several times. There's no way those 2 buildings could have collapsed into what they were there.
Yeah, no chance. No chance at all. Again, that was just the perfection of it. There's no way 3 buildings randomly fall from random attacks, especially if you think about, like, you know, cutting down a tree, right? Like you hit it from the one side and eventually that's kind of, well, depending on how you do it, generally that's the side it falls, right? You made a weaker spot. Well, it's kind of like, you know, you feel like you would have made a weaker spot where it hit, yet it fell perfect on itself. Just never made sense. None of it made sense. And all the stuff that we came out with at the time just got shut down in so many crazy ways. MyPillow CEO, Mike Lindell, poor guy. That's maybe why he's actually on my channel. Or at least he's going to be. Every other Wednesday, we're going to have a short segment I'm going to record with him. And I will likely just add it to the show. It'll be a day of hearing from Mike. He's going to mention some sort of thing that's going on with election integrity and all that nonsense. And then we'll talk about MyPillow stuff. So it's going to be cool because they got the new drink, which I'll be getting mine Saturday. I'm looking forward to it. I'll be talking about that more. I've talked about the 3-pack, which you can get for free when you go to mypillow.com/OTF. By the way, go to the drink section, choose the 3-pack, free 3-pack. Literally, they'll send it to you. I think you have to pay shipping. So not totally free. At least the post office won't deliver it for free. How about that? But Mike Lindell at least get it out the door for free. Last month, Smartmatic had filed a lawsuit. They're mad at him for not paying the $56,000 to Smartmatic that he owes them, which I was kind of tripping on a little bit. I mean, I wouldn't want to pay it either. Someone must have given him advice not to pay it because I would assume Mike Lindell's got to have some cash lying around. Maybe he doesn't want to sell some stuff. I don't know. 56 grand seems in the realm of like doable, right? That's like you can't even buy a car for $56,000. It's like not that much, but whatever the case is, the dude's they're going after him still. I feel bad for the dude. He's just a good guy. I mean, from best I can tell, I'm not going to vouch for his character in every way, shape, and form, but I just think Mike Lindell's a good guy. Like him. Just want to remind you guys, use the coupon code OTF. Go to mypillow.com/OTF. That's mypillow.com/OTF. Just great products, great stuff going on. Again, sheets, they're the best. Deep pockets, you're not going to find anything better. They got any sheet they make, you're going to be stoked with. Sometimes it's flannel, sometimes it's that Giza, which is a higher thread count. They've got the percale ones, just I think it's a slightly different version of the cotton, right? So there's like 3 different kinds, and they're just all freaking awesome sheets. So just grab what kind you like, and you're going to be like, these are really awesome sheets. You're not stroking out on that 4th corner. That's one of the things I love most about it. And they're, I think, big enough because you could get a topper, and they got some great toppers. $100 on this topper. Normally $219. You're saving over, what is it? Over 150%? What is that? Whatever. Don't make me do the math. It hurts my brain. Hurts it, right? But yeah, it's way cheaper. That's what it is. Yeah, we'll say that. You can get the My Cross. They've got a couple different versions. Sterling Silver, beautiful, save 30%. Also the drinks, save up to 30%. And there's a free 3-pack. Just pay shipping. That's all you got to do. And it's one of each, by the way. So you get to try, and you're like, which one do I like? Or you'll be surprised. I think the sweetness of them is not too much. It's just surprising. There's no sugar in it. Sucralose, I think. It's delicious, though. Like I said, delicious. The energy is a trip. I think you'll also be shocked on that one, too. It just gives you energy. It's a cool kind of energy. It's based off of this, I don't know, I forget the GOO, whatever it is. It's the energy that your body creates whenever you don't really have any carbs or any calories inside of you, and it starts to have to chemically or basically burn fat to create energy. But yeah, it's part of the ketosis process. It uses that energy to fuel you. And it's surprising. It's weird. It's just something I'm not used to. I do taurine, guarine. I'm used to rock stars all the time, man. We drink 4 of those in a shift. I mean, I lived on that stuff for a while. It's awesome. Probably almost killed myself. Took many years off my life, I'm sure. But this is a totally different gig, and it's surprisingly groovy. I would check it out. They've also got slippers and everything else. Pillow, the original pillow is the best pillow. If you don't have a pillow right now, one of those, you should try it at least. They're $17.98. They're ridiculously inexpensive. And the best pillow you will ever get. I like it more than the other. They don't even put it on my thing anymore. Someone's obviously listening to my commercials, which scares me a little bit. They're like, why does he keep bad-mouthing the 2.0? Sorry. I don't like it. Make a 3.0, and I will be all over that if it's close to what I was thinking. All said, I love what they're doing. I love this products. They've got also mystore.com/OTF, some really, really cool stuff over there. Some of you product owners, we got a buddy that shows up in our quarterly. I don't know if you've reached out to Lindell. I mean, I know he's got his own coffee. I don't know if they would let you in, but you might want to check with the My Store stuff. They get a piece of it, but you price around that, I think. It's something to consider. All said, we got some really, really good stuff, and a lot of people, I think, with their hearts in the right place, at least. Maybe we don't all, pull it off perfectly every time we get in front of a camera. Most of us are trying our best. That's all you can do, and that's all you should really ever be able to ask of anybody. And I think the long term is what we should hopefully rely on to get us through the day, and that's all of us for that matter. President Trump says mineral deal with Ukraine is forthcoming. I like the sound of that, frankly. Let's hear him say it, though.
See a minerals deal signed this week, is that? Well, we have a minerals deal, which I guess is going to be signed on Thursday, Scott, next Thursday, soon. And I assume they're going to live up to the deal, so we'll see. But we have a deal on that. No, I have no comment on that. I have no idea. That's his statement, not mine.
Hey, I'm going to ask a stupid question, and I apologize. Hopefully one of the guys out there that does have access to me knows the answer to this. But is this a cabinet meeting? It seems like it would be. I don't know who else should be in there. I know sometimes Marco Rubio, some of them just standing behind maybe instead. But it kind of seems like this might be one of those, and or at least sort of like that. And then taking questions. This is the one that Trump's done 20 times the number of questions that Biden had took. It's incredible. It's out of control is what that is. Russia warns Germany. Germany's giving, so here's the thing, this is what's funny, because Europe can't stand against Russia. Russia is very powerful from a European standpoint. Okay, most of the countries in Europe pretty small. Russia is very big. Russia's been on a war footing for a long time. And the United States, I'm going to say almost assuredly, has told Russia, dude, we're out of it, man. No, we want peace. And so Russia's going to play a little bit of hardball. And Germany was offering Ukraine missiles. Russia warns Germany, if any of these Taurus missiles are used to strike within Russia, we will attack or consider that an act of war, essentially. Now, I think they would stop selling them fuel, which would just destroy Germany. Obviously they're going into summer. They don't need it for warming as much, but they still power a lot of stuff. It would be difficult to switch around a lot, and it would be considered an act of aggression. And that's not a good idea, is it? Electric cars with Chinese parts have been banned from UK military sites over spying fears. China did the same thing with Tesla, by the way. Tesla, not the other companies, at least yet. But Tesla, he did. Not that Tesla's necessarily spying, but Tesla has so many cameras, and they're always recording. So, yeah, it's totally spying. It's totally spying. Good and bad, It's good when someone's keying it. It's bad when it's, spying on your ass. Or, okay, he just got home. We're using the Tesla across the street. I mean, they do that kind of stuff. Or ring doorbells. They do it, too. I mean, whatever. Google, they're getting busted again for another thing, which is... it's almost brought tears. District Judge Leonie Brinkema in Alexandria, Virginia, she could allow prosecution to argue for a breakup of Google's advertising products. They controlled, it seemed, the advertising. We don't know for sure. They're having their case, right? That's where it should be, right? But do I fully? Well, hopefully I think we've got the right district courts doing some of the right stuff, but. Yeah, they had to break off their Android, I think. No, it's Chrome, the Chrome browser. I don't think the Android thing happened yet. Might have. And they also are possibly going to have to break off the Google's ad manager and how that all works, which is good because Google has abused it. They've used it to overpower other companies and keep them out of the competition, which is how they were controlling conservatives, by the way. X or Rumble or Truth. None of them were able to really, well, the original Parler, was it? That was the first one we had, right? That one, you know, I wouldn't say it sucked. It just wasn't around long enough because they couldn't get any money. They ran out of money almost immediately. And other people are like, good idea, but we're going to do it right. Now, interestingly, we got some fun tech stuff here. Elon Musk's X Corp must pay a patent owner $105 million for violating its rights and technology for recording and distributing video through social networks. Cool. I don't know when it happened. I doubt it was Musk that stole it. Maybe he did, but I don't think so. I think they were doing the video stuff prior to that, or at least had looked into it. I don't know. Maybe Musk took it and just says we'll deal with it in the courts. And $105 million, he's probably like, we can do that. It's a lot, but good for the dude. He made pretty good technology. Elon Musk's SpaceX and two partners have emerged as frontrunners to win a crucial part of President Donald Trump's Golden Dome missile defense shield. 6 people familiar with the matter said. This is what Reuters is telling us. Well, here's what Musk is telling us. SpaceX has not tried to bid for any contract in this regard. Our strong preference would be to stay focused on taking humanity to Mars. If the president asks us to help in this regard, we will do so, but I hope that other companies, not SpaceX, can do this. So, again, Reuters, just understand. I brought it in there, and I figured a lot of people, hopefully, were like, damn, that's wrong. I know. It's awesome, right? That's right. I got you for a second. Neener. Putin also praises Elon Musk. Uh-oh, that's going to be hurting his... I don't think Putin does it. I don't know. I actually think they're working together a lot more than people say. Anyone that's on the sort of truth bandwagon, if you will, that's sort of famous, they all come at it from the Putin doesn't care about the United States. Putin only cares about himself and being a dictator and blah, blah, blah. But, you know, there's times where he wants to work with Trump. It's like, all right, listen here. Maybe, and I'm not saying I know. I just like to step outside of the box sometimes. The box you just put me in, sir. Imaginary person. Yeah, no, definitely imaginary. No one there. And so, yeah, he compared him to Sergei Korolev. He's the Soviet engineer who was instrumental in the Soviet Union's success in sending Yuri Gagarin in the world's first crewed space flight in 1961. The hugest pride and wonderful thing he could say about Elon Musk. And you know what? I'm sure Elon Musk took it with great happiness. I'm sure the media is going to run with it. He's a Putin puppet. Everybody knows he's doing Starlink for Putin. Right? We know it. We know how they are. And finally, the Telegram problem continues. There's all the French prison attacks. Guess where those got organized? Just guess. Yeah, Telegram. You remember France? Telegram, the Russian-y dude that started it, the brother at least, one of them, that got arrested by France and kept in France for a long time so they could get, codes? So now France, it seems, has manufactured another reason that we've got to get some back-end stuff. Now, this is the deep state, I think, without a doubt, trying to get access so they can get information. They need to figure some stuff out. They need to find out something. They need to update something that they haven't been able to. I don't know, something's fishy smelling on this. So we'll keep that in mind. A lot going on. I got the wonderful Law of One show happening here in just a bit, doing sessions 7 and 8. Should be very exciting. Again, it just progresses. There's a lot of really, really good stuff in there. The densities and dimensions is one of the things that I want it to make more sense for all of us. I was trying to explain it to my dental hygienist just recently, and I'm like, man, it's like really hard to explain. And anytime I've ever really tried to look it up, there's a lot of places you can look, but there's so many different postings that Law of One's done on density specifically. So I'm hoping to, honestly, the main reason why I'm teaching this is so I can learn it better. And it really is why I want to share this with you guys is, one, I think it's amazing. It's awesome information. LL Research, just look up Law of One, go to the LL Research tab. You can read it yourself, man. There's a bunch of them in there. I do the reading for us. We all hang out. There's a few live people. I take questions at the end, but very few people ask them so far. Maybe it's just because it's kind of heavy and we got to think about it. I don't know. But it's fun. I do it on Thursdays, 3 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern, at least live, and you can watch it anytime. They've got the thumbnail that shows which sessions they are in case you're halfway through it or starting. I recommend you start at the beginning, but it's up to you. It's a lot of good stuff. I'm offering a lot. I've got just a lot of experience, and I've read through the material at least 3 times, and still, like, it's just one of those things. It's probably like the Bible. Like, you 8th time through it, you're like, nah, I think I've memorized this page. Like, I don't know, but it's I think powerful, and I'm not putting it in the same category as the Bible. It's in a totally separate category. I think it's an important category, though. It's a different spoke on the wheel, and I think they all matter. Frankly, I think there's many things that we should have in our arsenal to be able to navigate what is likely coming in the very near future. And I'm hoping that the starting of this course with you guys is the perfect timing, and we'll get as far into it as we have to before anything gets weird. But I think Trump's got to be in office. I don't think we got to even be at the point where we're past midterms. Who knows? It's hard to speculate time because it really matters on a lot of things that can change this. But if we keep focused, if we keep making ripples, if we keep helping those that are waking, we can actually get this to happen, and we'll be ready for it. And you guys will be there to be a big, big part of that. And that's really what this is about. Working together, shoulder to shoulder, mano y mano. Where we go one, we go all, because we all are one, right? You getting that? It's on the Fringe with Dan Radio Style.